Welcome back to another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, joined always by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Matt Mosley. Matt, what's going on, man? Happy, what is it today? Is it
I
Tuesday?
think it's September 1st. First day of September. Can't get through 2020 fast enough, dude.
Dang, that's crazy. Like, we fast forwarded through 3/4 of the year, just like
Yeah.
that.
I feel like summer is just
Yeah,
like
what's summer?
went by so fast. And then when this thing started, it was like everything just slowed to a stop.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
remember April felt like 4 years?
it did. And then the fast forward button hit or something all of a sudden. And now we're in September. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. And 2020 is just an crazy year, terrible year. I don't know. And with the news of Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace.
Yeah,
He was one of my favorites
he was a
on and off the screen
great
for
actor.
sure. I mean, I just a real quick shout out. I can count on one hand the number of celebrity deaths that actually affected me personally, and he's definitely one of them. So, uh, anyway, it was
Shout
tragic
out to
news to hear
him.
that. So,
Indeed, indeed. Rest in
but
peace.
let's not keep going down that dark route. let's 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 talk about something
Try to
happy,
bounce it back.
something cool.
Something cool, something cool. What can we talk about that's cool? Nothing more and nothing better than some hacker history. I
Yeah,
always like hacker history. And yeah, you actually brought this topic one up and I read into it a little bit today. It's actually really cool. It's really fun story. It's like a good cops and robbers kind of back and forth, right?
yeah, for sure.
Everybody trying to one up each other, but I'll let you tell the whole gist of it. But for our listeners out there, what got my attention is the name. It's called Black Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So today we're gonna revisit the infamous Black Sunday hack, and with that, Matt, take it away. What are we in for?
Yeah, definitely. So we're in for some corporate espionage. We're in for some hacker versus hacker, kind of spy versus spy type stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool story. So I was I was teaching a class on secure coding. I want to say like 2010ish, so a long time ago.
Okay.
And one of the students in the class, as we were talking, he was like, "Yeah, this reminds me of the Black Sunday hack." And I was like, "What?" Like I had never heard of it. And so he kind of broke it down real quick, and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty incredible." So with that amazing opening, let me break it down. So back in the day, I don't know what our listener demographics are, but there used to be these. They're still around, but satellite digital receivers that would take the signal coming in from the satellite from DirecTV or Dish Network, and
Yeah.
then you would get your TV. And I'm sure a lot of people still have that. I know the younger generation's kind of going away from
Yeah. Yeah.
cutting the cord and all that stuff. But
No, I know what you're talking about. It's like one of those gimmicks that you had to get like a card and shove in the card and whatnot.
yeah, so they use these
Yeah.
smart cards or H cards, depending on what community you're a part of in the underground. But
Yeah.
H card stood for Hughes, right? Hughes Network, and these smart cards basically had design flaws in them, which hackers discovered, and these flaws enabled the community to reverse engineer the design and create smart card writers. Now, these writers enabled the hackers to read and write to the smart card, which
Okay.
then allowed them to do all kinds of cool stuff like change their subscription model, receive all the channels, etc. Right?
Oh, how nice.
I think even add funds to their like pay per view um, account on the card. I could be wrong about that one, but
Wow.
yeah. So since the technology essentially was the satellite sending the signal one way, right? The receivers weren't sending any data back to the satellite, so it was all just coming down one way. So the hackers figured out that if they modified these cards on the endpoint, basically that's all they needed to do, and there was no way to really get caught. Um, but there was a couple of different ways that DirecTV started handling these things, right? Um, Basically, they would require a like phone line to be hooked into the receiver,
Yeah.
and so the hackers would rewrite the smart cards, receive all the channels, and then unplug their phone lines,
And then
leaving DirecTV like no way to, track it
yeah,
or
yeah.
disable it.
That's clever, of course.
And then DirecTV eventually like built in mechanisms that allowed the updating their smart cards through the satellite stream. So it didn't need the phone line anymore, or anything like that. And then every
Okay.
receiver was designed to basically apply those updates when they received them right away. And then once those updates would go in, they would, essentially disable the hacked cards or even try to destroy the cards by
Yeah.
writing updates that would disable them. And of course, hackers do what they do, right? They figured out ways to bypass that. So they created a little piece of hardware called the unlooper that not only repaired the damage, but then allowed them to Trojanize the cards, which removed the capability for DirecTV to automatically update.
Okay. Oh,
So if you're still following along, basically it's just cat and mouse, right? Like,
yeah, it's just back and forth.
yeah, it's like DirecTV makes a mouse trap, and then the hackers make a better mouse. Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just like constant back and forth.
This is Sparta.
Yeah. So, once they had that, then it allowed them to really not only pick and choose kind of what updates went through. Then DirecTV would require that in order to receive the video, it would validate that the patches existed and were updated. And then, once that would happen, again, just, 10, 15 minutes later, hackers would figure out another way to reverse it, and so on and so on. And this just kind of went on for, a couple years. And these cards were pretty expensive. I mean, even like you're talking 2001, around, the early 2000s, they
Okay.
would go on eBay
20
for around
years ago.
$400.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, $400 is still a lot today, but it was even more back then, right? In my
Yeah, for
opinion.
sure.
And but yeah, so these would go for $400. I think as low as like $200. But one of the hackers in that community said that some of the pirates could make up to $400,000 in a weekend just selling cards to
What?
people. Yeah, it's just crazy, dude. In
That's
fact, one
crazy.
of them was arrested, and when they seized his bank accounts and his or not social security, the safety deposit boxes,
Right.
they seized $5.5 million.
Woo!
Yeah, which he claims not all was from piracy, but I'm sure a majority was, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So obviously, you're DirecTV, you're trying to make money. You've got, I don't know, somewhere in the billions of profit coming in, like five billion ish, right? You've got some money to throw at this problem. What do you do? And so that's
What do you do?
where, and I don't even know how the conversation started, but basically DirecTV reached out to a certain individual, and that's kind of our, where we're going with this hacker history. So Christopher Tarnovsky was their kind of saving grace. And this guy was living in the pirate community. He started off in the military, I think doing like signals intelligence and stuff like that. He was a colonel, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Did work for NATO, intercepted radio signals and stuff like that. Then he did some work for the NSA. And so the
Dang. So
guy's,
they brought in the task force. They
yeah,
like brought in
guy's
backup.
smart. He knows what he's doing, right?
Okay.
So they bring this
Like,
guy in, and he tells him, he comes up with a plan to basically take care of this situation. He's very familiar with smart cards. He's been hacking himself. In fact, that's kind of what started this. Was he was overseas, and someone gave him like a used digital or a satellite box with a card that didn't work, and he hacked it so that he could get English channels while he was like in like Germany or something. I can't remember
overseas,
where.
he did it
Yeah,
out of necessity.
yeah. Exactly. Which, that need for, necessity and stuff like that is what makes the best hackers, right?
Of course,
Like you've
right.
heard that saying of, employers only make the best hackers out of their employees when they start locking down the environment,
Yeah.
because people start circumventing all the security in place because they just want to do their job.
But I
So
feel like any kind of crime out of necessity, right? Like look at Walt, what is it? Whitman from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Out of necessity, he became like a drug lord of of the United States.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah,
sorry.
so
Back to your story.
so let me make sure I get his name right. Chris Tarnovsky basically starts rolling out these updates. And there was a pattern before, right, where it was like one update every, month or whatever, or week or so. And then DirecTV started sending out 4 and 5 updates at a time, in batches every week, right? And so the hacker community didn't really quite understand what was going on. They could see this stuff was going happening, but they didn't really know all the reasoning behind it, right?
Right.
And
Just like randomly they started doing it different.
yeah, like the updates contained like useless pieces of computer code that were uh, then required to be present on the card in order to receive the transmission, right? And the hacking community, basically said, okay, like we don't know what these are, but we'll just leave them anyways because obviously there's something that we're just not familiar with, and they would allow these pieces of code to come in so that
Right.
they could continue hacking the signal. And finally, all of it made sense in one Sunday, or actually leading up to Super Bowl Sunday, I guess. So a week before Super Bowl Sunday, in January of 2001,
Okay.
uh, all of the patches combined into one giant super patch and basically disabled the entire pirated satellite TV community.
Oh, that's great.
And hidden within the headers of the smart card update was game over. Was the words game
Wow,
over.
that's like the ultimate.
Yeah. So instead
That's
of
great.
delivering like one single blow, right, against all these hackers, what they basically did was they delivered all these uh all this code in chunks, right? Like assembling pieces of a tank on the battlefield.
Yeah, for sure.
And then
Autobots
finally was like,
assemble, right?
release the secret weapon.
Damn, that's pretty smart.
Yeah. So once I heard this story, I was like, man, that's pretty badass. It's definitely one of the coolest things. And talk about strategy for taking care of a situation. I think after that, it was, the satellite kind of the pirated satellite community didn't completely die out, but it definitely took a heavy blow, right? But it eventually did die out. I don't know, and if we have listeners that can correct me, I don't know that there is anybody really doing this anymore. I don't know that you can even do it anymore, or if you can, I don't know that anybody really puts in the sweat and tears for it, to try and hack the smart cards anymore, or even that they use smart cards. And the lack of knowledge on the situation currently is just because the community almost doesn't exist anymore. And that's why I really don't know that much about it. So if there is someone out there that could correct me, I'd be definitely interested to hear. But yeah, they essentially just they estimate in one evening that they destroyed 100,000 smart cards,
Dang, that's crazy.
removing 98% of the hacking community.
You know what I appreciate about like a couple different factors. Number one, I have to give credit to whoever decided to pull the trigger on the Sunday before Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that itself is a strategy. It's like, yo, we're gonna cripple everybody the week before everybody needs it, so that they're pretty much forced to call us and sign up or do
Yeah.
something, right?
Well, yeah,
That's
like think about it
that's
from a marketing perspective. You've already planned your Super Bowl party. You've got people coming over to
yeah,
your house.
exactly.
And now your box doesn't work.
What are
Oh
you gonna
crap.
do?
Now I got to go buy a subscription because I got to still please my friends when they come over. So
Exactly.
I would be interested to find out what the subscription numbers were within that week leading up to the
I
Super Bowl
I
Sunday.
bet there was a massive spike. There had to be for sure.
Yeah.
So that's ultimate genius, and of course, the military strategy in releasing mini cyber bots, right? That unite
Yeah. Yeah.
and annihilate is
It's
freaking
pretty
awesome.
crazy. And Tarnovsky is just he's a brilliant guy. If you ever get a chance to kind of watch, so there's a YouTube video, at least one. I know that he did a talk at one of the hacker cons, like ShmooCon, I want to say, or something out in DC. But anyway, he did do a talk there. But there is a video that Kevin Polson, who we've actually talked about, reported on for Wired.com. And Tarnovsky goes through his process for how he hacks these smart cards. And it is crazy, dude. Like I think you and I were talking, like they don't teach that in school.
No,
Like,
like when you sent me this video and I looked at it and I just paused. I'm like, are you kidding, man? Like, come on. It's just so in depth. Like this
I mean,
guy,
he cuts the chip out of the card. He
so
puts it in
he's like
acid
a
to remove
chemist.
the
Yeah.
tamper resistant coating on it.
And then he adds the nail polish and
Yeah.
scratches it just enough, and then he's puts up like a needle to read the registered traffic that's going
Literally
through
looking at
the bus.
ones and zeros on the card.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
man, you know?
Yeah. Guy knows what he's doing. So,
Yeah, so long story short, I mean, for those people who think like it's like, oh, this guy hacked it in like 10 seconds. No, like he put in time to really crack this
oh,
code.
yeah. He is by far an expert in his field. And DirecTV actually, when they hired him, they went to great lengths to keep his identity closed because he was part of the hacker community. So they actually paid him. Not only was he on the payroll under a different name, but he actually got paid through like subsidiaries and like other companies
Oh, so
to
they
keep
it was
him
like
hidden
masked.
from because they didn't know if there was any insiders at the company. And so this is kind of where the that whole corporate espionage thing starts up. So this happened in 2001, and then between 2001 and 2008 a long court battle happened, and it was between two major smart card manufacturers. And um and Wired does a really great article that goes pretty in depth into it, but essentially DirecTV, or in was it NDS, I think was the name of the company that made the smart cars,
Uh-huh.
hired him, and they called it Operation Johnny Walker. And the goal of that was to basically find out what the other company was doing. And I don't, they actually, I think they proved that it wasn't to sabotage or anything like that. It was really just to gain information. But I do believe it was in between the lines. If you read between the lines, it was to sabotage the other people. But I mean, there was
Wow.
like secret meetings that took place like overseas and in Canada. And the guy took on different identities and passed, encrypted software. And in fact, the software that he handed over to the competitor was Trojanized, for lack of a better term. It was encrypted and it would only work with a dongle, but it only would work so many times to hack smart cards. And then all of those smart cards could be disabled at any moment. So it was like,
Whoa.
yeah, it works, but we've got control the whole time, right? Just to kind of show them, give them enough leash to hang themselves with, or whatever that term is, But yeah, there's a lot more to this story, and eventually he was found not guilty, and I think now he's started up his own company. But I mean, during that time, there was like the authorities seized some boxes that were coming to his rented mailbox in Texas. Now, mind you, this guy was living like in Southern California, and at the time when they seized this stuff, he was in Israel. So he was like
Okay.
kind of all over the
Of
place. And
course.
why you have a rented mailbox in Texas, I'm not really sure. But in that in that box that the authorities seized, there was a CD player and a DVD player, and both had $20,000 in cash concealed within them. And he claims he didn't know anything about them. I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, just all kinds of interesting stuff. But yeah, long story short, it was the Black Sunday hack is definitely a pretty cool little piece of hacker history. I don't know of anything else that's like that. I mean, I think at the time when we were
No, I
talking in
mean,
that
it's
class, it
like
was we were talking about Stuxnet maybe, which
no,
would
but
have put
again,
it
like I
past
think what's
2008.
I
I
think
don't know.
what's so unique about this one is it has like a Robin Hood kind of vibe to it, right? Where it's like take from the rich, give to the poor. give free TV to everybody. So you can't be mad about whoever started it. But I think what's really fun about it is the fact that it's like they're just going back and forth, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and I've told you, and I've equated our profession to kind of like um, being two submarines in the ocean, right? Like especially when we have an active breach and we know someone's in the environment, um, you know they're in the playing field, right? You know they're in the ocean, and it would we're not actually pinging each other, but you know how submarines ping each other
Yeah.
to find out where they're at. Like we can see movement, in parts of the network, and we know that they're doing certain things, and we're trying to be secretive about our movements, and so it's like this submarine chess match, and and that I've just kind of described that a couple times to people, and they get excited about instant response. I'm like, wow, it's not really that exciting. I just make it sound cool. But yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was like this, who could outdo who, right? Hacker versus hacker.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
DirecTV definitely put their money on the right horse in that one, in that race.
Big time. What was the resolve? Like after they retaliated like with that one final blow, was it completely over or did the hackers did they like retaliate again? Did they figure it out again
I
or
think
no?
they did try, and I think there was some spin-offs that, did happen. I don't think the entire industry died out for another couple years, but the underground um, pirate, hacking pirated satellite stuff didn't die out for a couple years, but it did take a significant blow. I think, like I said earlier, it was 98% of the hacking community was affected by
Yeah,
by the
wow.
yeah, pretty cool. So kudos to DirecTV and Chris Tarnovsky for just being amazing at
Yeah,
his job.
freaking
So
awesome. He's like did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So remember that scene where it's like Jon Snow just standing in the field, like, and then there's all of these people like about to attack him.
the White Walkers.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like no, no. Was it the White Walkers on that
I have no
side?
idea. I think there was a lot of scenes where
No,
that
it
you're
wasn't. It
describing.
was like the Baratheon, not Baratheon. That one Ramsey guy's army,
Oh, okay.
right? Anyway, so I feel like that's him, and he's going up against the whole hacker communities. That it
Yeah, but
makes sense
also
why.
maintaining his ability to be within the hacker community. He was almost like a double agent.
Yeah, for sure. Two-edged sword.
So, but very
But
cool. So that's
well,
all I got.
Black Sunday, that's pretty cool. I wish they would make that a movie. I feel like that would be a cool movie.
Oh
I feel
yeah,
like
I
a
think
lot of
so.
these would be cool movies. So somebody out there, please make a movie about hacker history. If you need some awesome ideas about hacker history, Matt has a lot of them. He knows them all.
We'll get Aaron
We're
Sorkin to write the screenplay. Dude, I think Aaron Sorkin, the guy who wrote like Social Network and
okay. Yeah,
Moneyball
yeah.
and Newsroom and American
There you
President,
go. We
I
got
think
to
he could definitely take that story and run with it and make a nice movie about that, dude. I think it'd
I'm
be
sure
pretty
he
sweet.
could. I think we should bring him on.
Yeah. Aaron Sorkin. Yeah.
If you're
Aaron
listening.
Sorkin, you're welcome to come on anytime. Huge fan. Newsroom, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, if you're listening and you're out there, please hit us up. We would love to have you. Anybody else out there?
Chris Tarkovsky, we'll take you.
Yeah, I mean, whoever wants to come. If you want to be a guest, if you have some cool topic, just let us know. Send us an email to podcast@TevoraTalks.com. We're going to keep bringing these hacker histories to you guys sporadically as they come up. And as we have time and the hacker world slows down just enough for us to be able to talk to you guys. And with that, Matt, any final words for our lovely audience?
That is it. I don't have anything else.
Awesome. Well, everybody out there, please subscribe, follow us, send us your love. And with all that said, we'll catch you on the flip side.